Hey guys, it's Sweatin' Sal here. Still the 19th. There's our nice little fan. I'm sitting up here where it's quiet. Kids studying, so I want to be a little bit quiet. And just want to talk about something about Good Natured. I was talking about in the last video taking my hauling some stuff for my buddy, and I wanted to tell you about that truck that I got. When I was young, I had old beater. I mean, it was just an old beater, but I had a bike. I was using my bike basically to go back and forth to work all the time, but we had an old beater too. I had bought my wife a real nice new car so that she could drive, and it was cheap. It was $129 a month for a new one, and what I was putting into the old ones, it equaled out. So I thought, okay, we're going to get our new one. You know, little Escort, 1900, 4 on the floor and a 5th under seat. Nothing on it. Didn't even come with a radio, but it was a great little Escort pony, great little car. She smashed it, unfortunately, but I got this truck. I had been putting a little bit back, buying and selling stuff, extra money, and there was a fellow who had this, it was a 78 Chevy pickup with a 250, 3 on the tree, had decent tires on it, and ran good. The thing ran like a top, and it was zero rust on it. It was in super good shape. He had lived down south, retired, and moved back up, and it hadn't seen a winter or anything like that. So he wanted $1,400, and I talked to my salesman down at the dealer, and that's where you can get the cheapest undercoating and stuff, and rust proofing and undercoating. And he gave me a price back then of $290 or something. So I talked to the guy and said, "Look, can we get her down to $1,100 so I can get it all rust proofed and stuff? Because when you bring them up from the south, they just rot." And I said, "That's all I got." And the guy was just really cool. He's all right. He liked me, and he liked him too. So I had the thing, and I'm running it around, and great truck. Went out to see my dad. Pretty good trip, a couple hundred miles, and he's driving around it going, "Man, $1,100, good deal," you know. And it was pretty. It was green. It was the late 70s model that was squared. That's the one I like. That is the one that's beautiful to me. So I had lost a carrier bearing on it, but I had a real nice truck box that I had my tools in, a dealer part, unfortunately, but I was able to fix that on this trip. And right before I got home, I'm driving it, and the engine something sounded really weird on it. And then I was hauling shale in it for a driveway I was making, and I got up to the top of the hill, and boom, it actually broke a wrist pin off the crank, and that part of the piston, and it just came out the side. They got those nice side plates on it, pushed up through the side plate, oil all over everywhere. I thought, oh crap, but it still that thing still ran. So I'm having to drive it that way, and I was driving it to work on I hated to drive in the rain then, because I didn't have all the rain suits and all the stuff I have now, but I was driving the truck, and I was going past the guy that I bought it from, and he just happened to be out there standing in the rain under an umbrella, and he flagged me down. He said, "What happened?" I said, "No, I'm not blaming you or anything. I was hauling some heavy stuff and the motor gave way." And he says, "Hey, I want to tell you something. Back when I got this truck, a buddy of mine, we were both from here, but we both went south, worked for a company. And then he said, you got to drive out this highway. I'll go with you." He bought the same truck as I did, the same time I bought mine. And it was cheaper to get these trucks with the small motor and then put the bigger motor in, because the guy was hauling. It's a heavy half ton is what it was called, and his buddy had one. Well, the guy had a brand new, not the 250, he had a brand new 292. As soon as he got the truck, he took the thing out. It still had the factory stickers on it. And he put it on a pallet at his work. And then when he came back from South Carolina, wherever they were, he brought it with him, you know. So we had to go way out to where he was, got the motor, and I put that dang thing in that truck, and boy, was that a great 292 Chevy 6-cylinder is a great one. While I was in there, I fixed, if it had a 3 on the tree, I fixed the bushings in there so that it wouldn't lock the shifter. Those ones, anybody who has one, got to open up the hood and go pull up on the little thing so that it'll shift again, because they'll bind. So while I had the engine out, I got in there and fixed that, cleaned everything up, saw some brake lines that were starting to corrode, replaced them, did it on between an old tree, and with a come along, and I swapped that motor out. Fit right up to the gearbox. Everything was good. And then that was a good nature. That guy gave it to me, and it had a bunch of parts too. The guy had a whole bunch of brand new in the package dealer parts, fuel pump, water pump, all kinds of stuff. You know, just a whole bunch of it, gasket kits and all that. And when I had the motor, because it had sat for years and years, sat for 25, 30 years, I don't know, 20 years, I went ahead and replaced gaskets. Like I just took the motor apart, oil pan gasket. That's got the little like couple piece. It has the one that goes around the front that's a special rubber piece. So I just changed all that. They came off fairly easy. I probably would have been okay, but my mind was at ease. Factory plugs, everything was good in it. Just everything there. Everything was good. Fired right up. And then I had that for a short while. My brother came for a visit, so we went over to see my buddy Jack, and he was getting rid of his Suburban. And now my truck was a heavy half-ton. It had like 7 leaf springs, but narrow ones, and regular rim, 5-bolt rim on the back. I think it was 6-bolt, sorry. It was a 6-bolt rim on the back. It was the heavy half-ton. And then Jack was junking his, it was for the hardware store. It was like a Suburban, but it was to carry paint. So they ordered it super heavy duty. It had a 350 in it, and it had 9 leaf springs in it, but they were like extra wide. And the brake drums, mine had the regular brake drums on the back. These brake drums stuck in past the tire. I have 4-inch drums on it, heavy duty. This thing was super heavy duty. So he was junking it, and I said, "Man, I'd love to have that rear end." And he says, "It'll fit." He knew his vehicles. It'll fit. So right out in front of his place, there was a tripod there, and I lifted it up with a come along. I had all my tools in the truck, and I was swapping out this rear end. Now, drive shaft wouldn't fit, but that was okay. I'll get the part for that. So my brother was there helping me, and we put that dang thing in. And there's one guy shows up, he's waiting. Another guy shows up, he's waiting. I don't know who these guys are. Jack couldn't walk. He was, one leg was taken off the knee, and the other one was half his foot was gone from diabetes. And so my brother was talking to him, and one guy was there to pick up his tripod that we were using, and he was cool. He was real cool. The other guy was there to tow the Suburban, and he's like, "You don't have to put the rear end back on, just throw it in the back, because I'll tow it from the back." He just wanted it junker, so that was cool. He took that away, and then the guy was cool about the tripod, so we got that on there. Brother and I walked up to the parts store. I actually carried the drive shaft on our shoulders. It was a 2-piece job with the carrier bearing, and I had to get the piece to fit on the back, because it was the rear end was much bigger, so it needed another piece. And they had a shop to change it and fix it for us, so we waited there and we got that on, and I drove that thing home. The gearing was a little bit lighter. I could cruise on the highway at 75, 80. And when I put this thing in, 65 was about all you wanted to run it, because it was too much. But boy, that made it. It had real wide leaf springs in the back. Plus, it also had a little leaf spring that went on that I had to make some brackets, so that if you had put a whole bunch of load in it, it would this extra spring that wasn't connected to anything. If you got down on it, then that one would come in, and it had a couple leaves down underneath it. So that's just the good nature of the people, that helped out when I was young, growing up. And that was a good truck. I had that for a long time. Fantastic. That was just a great truck. Once I was all done with all that stuff on it, I ran the piss out of that thing. It was just a fantastic truck. The motor was great. Never had any problems with it. I was the Mobil 1 guy back then, and I put that in. The gearbox had the synthetic, the pumpkin. I had taken the back plate off the pumpkin because it was leaking, and we cleaned all that out. I actually pulled the axle shafts out of it, pulled the clips, pulled the axle shafts, cleaned all that up. One of the bearings was a little bit shaky, so you know what I did? I had bearings. We knocked some bearings in it. I just redid that whole rear end, new seals, new gasket, and then I went to put the that one took a hypoid oil, and I wound up getting the synthetic for it, and I ran that truck for a long time. That was a fantastic truck. but that's the style I like. My dream vehicle, I know people, you have dream vehicles. Of some guys want a little sports car, or some guys want, this or that or something. But my dream vehicle, if I could ever have one, is a K5 Blazer. It's like the convertible pickup truck with the short bed of that year, late 70s, the squared off one, and just with, I don't care what motor's in it, just something. It'd be nice to have it if it was 4-wheel drive, and it'd be my 4-wheel drive sports car. That's my dream. Don't think that'll ever come to pass, but that's always the vehicle I wanted. They just look good to me. I like boxy. I remember watching that movie a long time ago. Dudley Moore was an advertising guy, and he was making a commercial about Volvo, and he said, his ad thing was boxy is good. And you know what? I watched that and I sat back and just smiled, because you know what? He was dead on the money. To me, boxy is good. I just love the looks of that old green truck. And like I say, I had it for a long time and just loved it. I did get one later on, another Chevy, a Silverado, that I was able to get new. It was a 4-wheel drive. Somebody had ordered it at the dealership, and they ordered it with all cast iron, everything. The thing had a cast iron transfer case. I had never seen. I didn't even know they made it. But it was a custom order, heavy duty. It was a 3/4 ton, but it had like 1 ton stuff on it. It was real heavy duty. I put a Vortex supercharger on it. Had a 305 motor in it, and I threw that Vortex supercharger on it. It already came with the 4-core radiator, no air conditioner or anything. But that was a good truck. That one wasn't as pretty as the old one, but it still was a great truck. That was a super good truck. It ran like a top. The brakes on it were fantastic. It never gave me an ounce of trouble. The only thing that happened to me, and this is really crazy, the stock tires were getting low, and I went to Sears, and they had these Durango tires, and they were nice heavy. I wanted the back end a little bit stiffer, and it was rated 10-ply sidewall. Just a nice heavy tire, and I didn't want the white things out, make it look. Had those put on the inside, and the guy's like, "Do you want the warranty on it?" And I'm like, I doubt I'm ever going to use it. I haven't had a flat in years, and I got a plug kit in case if I do. So I don't want it. I come out of the Sears, and I'm driving home, and a big truck dropped off a bunch of stuff on there, and it cut. It hit so hard that it didn't cut through the tread and the radial part. It cut a big gash in it, but it popped holes on either side of the sidewall. So it's this big piece of angle iron that dropped, and I hit it both back tires, and both went flat. Well, I went back to the Sears, and this is the other thing about good-natured people. The guy, without even asking, he went up and pulled up my thing, and he says, "You owe me $25," and he redid the whole order that I bought the warranty. They actually came and got my truck from where I left it, pulled it into the garage behind the Sears, and put me another pair of brand new ones on the back. So, there's good people everywhere, guys. And I know in this times that we're having right now, even though there's a lot of people losing their minds, there's a lot of good people still. And you gotta just look for them. They're out there. Some of the best people I ever met was Christians, but I've met a lot of other good folks. I had one buddy that was you might call him a devout atheist. I think atheism's a religion in of itself, but he was a good dude. I loved him with all my heart. Couldn't get him to change his mind. I remember when he was dying, he knew he was going to go, and he didn't. And he was at home. He didn't have much time to go. And, he was walking from the kitchen, and we're around him to try to help him. He was a big fella. And he kind of lost his footing, and he went down to his knee, and he says, "Oh, don't worry, I'm not praying." Right to the end, he was anti, the Lamb of God. And I feel bad about that, because I love that man. And it was a shame. Would have liked to seen him come around, because I'm a believer, guys, period. And I have another buddy who's here that's a Muslim, and we would have some pretty good conversations, and we agreed. There was no way I was going to change his mind on his religion, and he wasn't going to change mine, But we were having a talk one time, and we were, this is when some of this terrorist stuff was going on, and he was devout. I mean, he had a rug and everything. And I said, well, what happens if your caliphate or whatever said, you'd have to kill Christians, and I just happened to be one of them? And he just real matter of fact said, well, I'd have to slice your throat. I'd make it quick, though. Oh my! But there are good folks around. I look back on my years. I did a video earlier. I also talked about that fella Arthur who taught me about the dispensationalism. Didn't know that's what it was called, but that was a guy one time. I was walking to work. I had a bicycle. I either rode my bicycle or walked, and pretty young then, before the service. Gave me a car. He said, I'm going to go get a new car. They don't want to give me anything on the trade-in. And it was an old Chrysler, and it was rusty. It was nice inside. When you were sitting behind the wheel, it was like in a new car. He kept it up. He had a garage up the road from his house that took care of all his maintenance, all his oil changes. He had stickers in the door, and inside was nice, but it was rusty, from the salt that they throw on the roads there. And but it had good tires on it, had a good battery, and guess what? Gave it to me. And that was a good car. It was a good car. You drank the gas, though. My goodness, that thing got 8 miles to the gallon. But it was a good car. And then another time in my life, I didn't have. I was making decent money, but you can get bills too. You can be stupid and get the bills to run up. So it eats your money, and that's my own fault. But I went up to visit an uncle. And he gave me his car. He said, my sister's the one who told me about it. And then I talked to him, and he says, come on up and get it. And he went down and had it serviced, oil, everything, transmission fluid, the pumpkin. He had brake fluid all sucked out. He had 2 new batteries put in it. Everything checked. Anything that looked like it was wrong, he told him to fix. And then when I got there, he said, oh, it gets 30 miles to the gallon. And I'm thinking, okay. I had a Chevette at the time, and it was lucky to get that. The Chevette, it would get about 25, and I was going a long way to work. And I get out there to see it, and here it is. It's this big old Oldsmobile bomb, station wagon, and I'm like, 35 miles a gallon. Forget it. It's not going to happen. But he's giving it to me, and my sister drove me there, so I'm going to drive it home. So I get the dang thing, and the tank was full. He filled the tank and everything, and we stayed overnight. And then the next day we're heading back in the most horrible storm. It was the worst storm you'd ever seen. And driving this thing, guess what? I'm driving on the highway. I'm just sitting right behind my sister the whole way in the storm. She was driving kind of fast. And her car actually broke down, and there's good-natured people again. We went to an auto parts store, was closed. They got the people in this small town. The guy actually came out. I didn't have tools to change the water pump and that little neck thing, and he left them to me. He says, put them through the mail slot when you're done. I got to go. It was a Sunday. There's more good people for you. They didn't know us from Adam, and the dude was just a cool dude. And we didn't screw him. I stuffed the tools back through what we needed. He gave me everything I needed for the job. It was a parts store. He knew what was needed, and he came out on a Sunday when they were having their Sunday dinner, and he came out to help. So another good person. But I drove that thing home, and on the highway, I got 35 miles to the gallon in that thing. It was a diesel. And he had gotten it. He had bought it new, and those had motor problems. And then over the time, they changed the motors and stuff. And his motor went bad, and it sat, still under warranty. But then when they came out with the fix on that motor, that's when he had that motor put in. And I drove that thing for a long time, too. That became a work buggy when I wasn't riding a bike, hauling tools and stuff in it. We took trips in it. We took bunches and bunches of trips with the family in there. The kids loved it because they had the way back seat, kind of like our car. I wish they'd made the seats facing backwards again. Kids loved it back there, and it was a great vehicle, and I drove that thing for a long time. But good people abound, guys. I've been very fortunate in my life to run into a bunch of them. And I'm running into a bunch of you nice folks on here too. I get folks, I go back and forth. Sorry, I lost the messenger. I made a comment and they just boom, no anything. They didn't do it. Just boom, it's shut off because of a comment. And I lost a lot of contact with people that I know, and that's a shame. And then this stupid Telegraph. There's just no way to find each other on it. I'm not liking Telegraph at all. It's more like a commercialized thing. big wigs or something. But you can't go on there and get a link. You give them the name, you give them the phone number, they still can't find you. So it's going to be something. When I find something else, I'm going to get away from these jamokes. They don't do what they should do. Messenger was a really good system, but they're liberal, and you got hate speak. You say something about somebody, and my comment on there, I won't say it here because this place will shut you off. It's terrible how those aren't good people, and I'm running into some of those people too. There's no freedom of speech on these platforms anymore. I will be going. I found the laptop I want, but it's out of stock. The guy says it's going to be in pretty soon. I want to switch to that. And then this phone's going to go. This A50 phone that I got, they did another thing with a update, and it wouldn't work. And then I had to do it because the phone wouldn't work. And what did they harvest when I did that? It really sucked because it took a long time. So they harvested. I know they did. And then a week later, there's another update, and guess what? The phone will lose its link to the Wi-Fi. I have to shut it. I have to restart it all the time. If I change from one thing to another, if I go from YouTube to, let's say I go to an email on my AOL, it won't open. It just sits and swirls. The only way I can get it to open, and even if I go back to YouTube, nothing will open. It just won't. It just goes into thinking mode. I have to shut it off again. I have to shut the damn thing off. So, they put fuses in these things where they go bad, so you buy another one. And you know something? It didn't work, Samsung, because I'm not buying another one. I'll never have another one of their phones. If you can keep them new, I guess. But I'm going to be totally done with any kind of a smartphone. My wife has that Vivo that seems to be working really good. I might have to use that from time to time. I am using it from time to time on because she still has Messenger, and I'd like to find some of the people I lost on there and be able to chat. She gave me the passcode to the phone, so if I need it. I also have my like some of my banks have a two-step thing where they have to have a number. Like if I go to use my debit now, it won't go through until it pops up on the phone. It'll pop up on the phone. Did you do this? Click yes. It's a two-step thing. So I have that because I did get my debit card. A bunch of money was taken. And I called them right off the bat because I checked that, and they said no problem. And the money was all put back, and the fees that they took, $35 fee for this, the overcharge, and all this kind of stuff. That was quite a bit of money that they took. So they said, hey, you need to set this up on two-step, which I did. It's all set up that way. But if I don't have my wife's phone with me, it's bad. My phone, I can't trust it. I have both numbers on there if I got my phone with me, but I don't like to carry the smartphone. I have the little one, the dumb phone, but I'm going to try to get it set up for that.
Why the light on?
Because I'm in here. Hello. But that's how we're going. The kids, it looks like they're done down there. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I don't want it to run too long, but just thoughts on my head today, guys, on what's going on. And again, thanks for all the comments. Thanks for the advice and all the stuff. All you guys, I really appreciate all you. And I like that the channel's going really good. We save all these. This will be something if it's all can be saved that long, in 30 years from now, my kids can go back and look at these things, and they can see their old pappy. And that's what it's all about. And also I use it sometimes when my back is really hurting. I really don't have people I can converse with here that much. My wife sometimes, but even her English is not perfect, and things will get mistaken what I'm saying, or she starts drifting. So that's why I like when Wes comes over. He's a good conversationalist, that's for sure. And Tropical Tim and his sweetie, her English is fantastic. She lived in America for many years, but sometimes I just get out there to just talk, and it takes my mind off of this physical problems that I have. And it's not, it's tough. What's going on with this back and the domino effect that it causes is just, hey, getting older, what are you going to do? It's like my mom. Somebody said, oh, you should go see a doctor. She said, what for? He's just going to find something wrong with me. She was in her 90s. And I just laughed at that. I said, that's her. That's my mom in a nutshell. She was one who wouldn't go to the doctor. She didn't want nothing to do with him. She had a doctor she liked, and then when he went to the Peace Corps, she had another one that she really liked, but she didn't really want nothing to do with him. You know, she was kind of more like, you know, it'll run its course. And I remember when I was little, I would have dizzy spells, and I would actually pass out and hit the floor. I mean, I wasn't like laying on the floor for any length of time. I'd pop right back up. But my mom was like, it's growing pains. You know, seen it before, been there, done that. And everyone's going to send me no doctor to give me some kind of medicine that'll kill me. You know, the thing that shocked me, guys, I'm going to say this before I go. I was watching Glidden. I'll find it. I'll put it in the link. But Dr. Glidden was on there, and he was looking up in the United States the number 3 cause of death. You know, you start thinking heart disease, cancer, blah blah blah. Number 3 cause of death in the United States is from medicine, from a doctor goofing up, making a mistake, and giving you something wrong. You know, that's it. And then with this coof that's going on, with all the drugs they're trying to do for that, how it's shutting organs down and all that. That's why people here, they're smart. Don't go to the doctor. You know, it's better off. I hope they never get into a welfare state like they do in the United States, where everybody can run to the doctor. You know, it's not cool. But you're better off to stay away from, if you can. You know, there's certain things that you may need, but I'm starting to think that most doctors, especially in the States, they're not in it to help people. It's to do no harm, and some of them, I think, harm you quite a bit. There's times you have to go, but I personally think best if you got a broken bone, like me with my back, something like that, or if you got appendicitis, you know, you got to go see them for something like that. But all your little sniffles, coughs, and pukes, just stay away. Stay away. They're going to give you something. I had a guy at work. He had the worst acid reflux. So what were they doing? They're telling him to eat this. They gave him a medicine, the purple pill or whatever for that, and he wasn't getting better. And he was taking it for years. His dad had the same thing, and I told him, I says, hey, you take some vinegar, and he wouldn't do it. I brought some in, and he was having at the call center. He was having a real bad night of it. And he would just gasp and everything. And I gave him a tablespoon of vinegar. And he came back after. He said, wow. You know, it wasn't that he was too acidic. It's because he wasn't enough acidic. So, you know, be careful. Be careful. There's a lot of home remedies that can help you out on little things like that. And don't let these little maladies that you get blow up, because you can take care of a lot of it yourself. Watch the stress. You know, with all that's going on, the stress. Find something to relieve your mind. You know, meditate if you have to. Read your Bible. Go for long walks. One of the things I see is you don't see as many people walking as you used to. Get out there and walk. You know, me, I don't go out on the streets too much, because I usually got the kids with me. I don't like, you know, you walk down that main drag. There's a lot of dogs out. And yeah, most of them, 99.9 out of 100, aren't going to bother you. Then you're going to get one crazy one. So, you know, I don't want to put my kids at risk. I don't want to put them at risk of getting hit by a car. We saw a truck that was going down the road, and the dude, I don't know what he was doing. Nothing failed on the truck, and he veered off the road and smashed the whole house down in a big truck. You know, and they do that. You can see on the curbs out here where they're damaged from cars jumping the curbs. So that's what you got to watch. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go. And this is Sweat and Sal out.